everybody. Hey, kids. Happy Sundays to you. This is Children's Praise Hour here at New Life, and I'm Pastor Matthew Fisher. Again, I'm grateful to be able to do this with you. We're going to go through various lessons as we do, and this one actually is going to come from a sermon you probably would have heard a few weeks from now, or at least your parents would have. It was from Genesis. We're doing a sermon series in Genesis, actually, about a guy named Jacob. Jacob had a grandfather named Abraham. He had a father named Isaac. And then the story goes on from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. It's the story of redemption. It's the story about Jesus Christ, really. And Jacob, as we pick up the story today, will be leaving his homeland. He's running away from his brother. He made his brother very angry, and his brother didn't like him, so he had to run away. And what he's doing in this story, as we jump in, is he's sleeping. He's going to be sleeping out in the wilderness, and he's going to actually have a rock underneath his head. It says in the text that he's using the rock maybe to protect his head out in the wilderness from just being in the wilderness with animals. Or maybe he's using the rock as a pillow to prop under his head. We're not entirely sure, but there's a rock involved near his head, and he's doing what you and I all know very well, which is called dreaming. So maybe you've had a crazy dream recently. Maybe you haven't had a dream recently. I can't remember many of my dreams anymore. I feel like I dreamt a lot more when I was a kid, and I can't dream anymore for some reason. But every once in a while I have a weird one. Maybe you had a weird one recently, or maybe a scary one where someone's chasing you. All these dreams we have, they're not real. You know, we wake up and maybe you talk to your mom or dad about a scary one and they tell you it was just a dream, it was just a dream. Well, what I'm going to say here as we get into Genesis 28 is this dream is actually pretty real. This is a different type of dream. It's a prophetic dream. And it proves itself to be real over history. So here's Genesis 28. It's called Jacob's Dream. And he was sleeping there in the woods. And it says, "And he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it." So let me explain that dream. There was a ladder he dreamt of, which was very, very high, very tall, maybe something like a stairway or staircase. And the bottom of it was touching the earth, and the very top of it was touching into the heavens. And we're actually told that at the very top, where the angels were ascending and descending on this ladder, at the very top of the ladder, Jacob actually saw the Lord. And from there, the Lord spoke to him all sorts of blessings, that he would be blessed with many children, he would be blessed to have a land to live in, and that he will spread out through all the world, the north, the south, and the east, and the west. And this blessing will go to all generations that come after him. And then when Jacob woke up from his dream, it says this, "Then Jacob awoke from his sleep, and he said," and he was really impressed by this dream, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." And he was afraid and said, "How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven." So he was afraid and he was in awe. He said, "How awesome is this place?" And it says in the text, it says he was very afraid because of the dream. It was so vivid, it was so real to him that it shook him. It made him scared. You probably had a dream like that, perhaps. A dream that really touched you. Well, this is what that dream was like for Jacob. And so, early in the morning, it says that he got up, he awoke. Jacob took a stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar, and he poured oil on it. And the last verse says this, "And he called that name," the name of that place, the place in which he had that dream, Bethel was the name. The area which he had that dream was called Bethel. And so I want to try to explain that, and your teachers will even do a better job, I'm sure, of making this make sense. But the dream is a different dream that you and I normally don't have. When I have a dream, or when you have a dream, we usually just forget about it. And we're like, hey, that's just our mind. That's just our mind running through the night, and we're thinking about things, and it's real. It's real like all the thoughts of our mind constantly, all throughout the day. Even when we're sleeping, you're thinking, and that's what we call dreams. But here in the scriptures, we're told that this dream was unique because it actually was representing reality. It was actually representing something real. And we know it was real because it proved to be real over time. And so it was very, very real for Jacob. He actually said, surely God is in this place. And so he was sleeping with a rock underneath him, and he took that rock and he stood it up vertically so that it would sit there, and he would be able to see it regularly so he wouldn't forget that place. Kind of like a marker, so you don't lose your place in the woods, or a sign or some type of thing that makes him come back there to know how to find that place again. So it might have been a rock bigger than this. We don't know, right? But here's a rock. And you can see how maybe this rock wouldn't be too bad to sleep on. You're thinking, why would I use a rock as a pillow? Well, I don't know if it's that soft, but if you had a rock underneath your head and if you were laying sideways with your shoulders, maybe a little rock would actually help you if you had a fabric on top of it. Either way, he had this rock, and what he did is he took it and he put it up like this, vertically. He would have stuck it in the ground vertically. And then we're told that he took oil and he poured the oil on top of the rock, and that would have made the rock different than all the other rocks. It would have stained it in some way that it would have made it distinguishable. Well, how do I explain all this, right? The name of that place, he said, is called Bethel, and that word Bethel means the house of God. And all throughout the Bible, we're told that Jesus is the rock. So the image is really vivid. The rock is hard, it's stable, it's a place of a foundation you can build something off of. And in the dream, we're told that there was a very big ladder, which is more like a staircase. Don't think of like a ladder like firemen use, but think of a very big staircase that would have been very, very high and very, very heavy. And below it all was this rock, a stable place in which heaven touched earth. And you know it works because you can actually go up to heaven and see God there. And that's where the angels are coming down and going up. And the place where heaven touches earth is this rock, which is called Bethel, which is the house of God. And we're told in the New Testament, we're told that Jesus is the rock, that he is the cornerstone, the chief cornerstone in which God used to build his temple, to build his house. And that you and I are living stones. We're not stones like this. We're stones that are alive. We're living. But we're stones in the way that you would build a wall with many stones. You would build a building with many stones. You would build a house with many stones. And so the house of God is made up of Jesus, who is the first rock to mark a stable location in where you can actually have heaven touch earth, in where you can actually meet God. And the rest of the rocks built on there are you and me and all of us in the church, that we are the house of God because God's Spirit lives inside of us. And all that was very simple in this dream. And if it was just a dream, then we should ignore it because we have dreams all the time. But we're in the 21st century and we know that some of these dreams were really, really important. And the dream that he had is true today. So I want you to think about that and talk about it with your teacher. Maybe you can think about any Bible verses or references in Scripture where we're told that Jesus is the rock or that God is a stable rock. And start talking about that. And I want you to think, is he the rock of your life? Can you build your life on Jesus? Jesus says that in Matthew 7. You could build your life on the rock. That's how you actually get to go to heaven. That's how you actually get to know God, through the rock, which is Jesus. There's no other good foundation where heaven meets earth. So think about that, talk about that with your teachers, and I'll see you next week.